Hello, everyone, and welcome to Season 2 of Passionate People and Preposterous Peeves. I'm your host, Ike. And before you get too sucked into this awesome interview, do us both a favor and like, subscribe, and share this amazing piece of entertainment, because I am here with the one, the only, John CORPORA! Say hello, John.
Oh, hi. How's it going?
It's going great, man.
And how did you get your start playing
Wednesday?
Magic? Oh, damn it! I tried to flip the script. I tried to interview you.
I got started playing Magic as a way to run away from my parents and be rebellious little teenager.
Hell yeah!
But more importantly, John, what is your favorite knock-knock joke?
Oh gosh. So my favorite knock-knock joke is a classic. Knock knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupting cow. Oh no!
Yeah, nailed it. Yeah, can't really go wrong with the classic there. I love that one, and so does my 7-year-old stepson Paul. He loves it.
To the surprise of everyone in the studio audience.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of stepsons, that means you have them married.
Yeah, that's true.
And presuming to be, if you were married, you've gone on at least one first date.
Hell yeah.
So can you recall what your first date movie was? And in lieu of that, if you can't, what do you think is the best or your favorite first date movie?
So, the first movie Jackie and I watched, oh God. So I do have an ideal first date movie, and that is Roadhouse. Because it kind of checks all
the sways.
Yeah, oh yeah. Roadhouse to me kind of checks all the boxes of like you find out if someone's game to be a little goofy, but also it's like it's saccharine enough to like pretty much keep anyone's attention. But yeah, the first movie my wife and I watched, God, I think it was. So are you familiar with Don Hertzfeld? I'm going to make some assumptions here about your age. Don Hertzfeld is the
Don
guy...
Hertzfeld's the best. Yeah.
Sorry, Don Hertzfeld is the guy that you downloaded the cartoon on Kazaa or LimeWire or whatever, and it's like, my spoon is too big. Are you familiar with that?
I am the Queen of France.
That's right. So... he has done a couple feature-length films, and I think his best one is this movie called It's Such a Beautiful Day. Are you familiar with it?
I've heard about it. I haven't gotten around to seeing it. That one was released pretty recently, like last 4 or 5 years, right?
Yes. And it's really good. It's really bittersweet. Because it's basically a movie about like mental illness and how it's all hereditary. Yeah. So that was like, I think, our literal first movie that we watched together. But if I was going ideal first movie, if I could go back in time and I had to change it, definitely Roadhouse. Definitely the Sways. Got to get that in there.
This is the weirdest comment that's ever been made about the movie. Like the movie, it's great. It's silly in all the right 80s kind of way. It also takes you back, if you watch it, it takes you back to realizing that, like, at least in the 80s, we really were a lot more lax about nudity in films in the U.S. The amount of scenes you just, like, the character happens upon, like, nudity in that movie is just, like, it's very bizarre, and the nudity is, like, not even remotely necessary. They're just like, screw it,
It's all just incidental. None of it is, like matters to the plot. It all could have like gone and been fine, but no, that's like the Porky's effect, right? Or maybe like the Animal House effect, something like that. One of those movies where it's just like, well, they're doing it, so it's just an arms race to see who can put the most tits in a movie or whatever.
Yeah, like let's do it. I don't know if like the MPAA was lighter or just didn't exist then, but it's wild looking back and watching those movies not on like television, like not on like cable TV, and just being like, whoa, wasn't expecting to see like that much like nudity just in happenstance for no particular reason.
Yeah, it's all so casual. It's like it's like Woodstock in all those movies.
Yeah, he like, I think the first scene where I was like, wait, what? It's like he walks, I think it's like first day at like the new job in Swayze. He just walks in the back and finds one of the guys who's like working as a bouncer at the bar, just having like casual sex,
Yeah.
and makes a line that is gratuitously, puts it that it's gratuitously casual sex.
So
It's like, we should make this like our Wednesday thing. You'll be my Wednesday girl or something like that. It's like, wow, that's a sentence. But also it's just like, they're both buck naked. It's like, he couldn't, like, they're having sex in a, like, in the ice room or something like that. You know, like,
yeah.
Or the refrigerator, the walk-in refrigerator. It's like, they could just have clothes on and the scene is the exact same. They're like, no, they're both stark naked. It's like,
that's world building. And that's there's no compromising there. That is like extreme world building. Like, you've got to establish that like this place is fucked up, and how else do you do it? Like, there's literally no other way to do it than to have him walk in on two people banging in an ice chest or whatever. Like, how else do you do it? And there's just no way.
It's not possible.
Right.
Speaking of things that sadly aren't possible, but we wish they were, what is your favorite meal to make just for yourself, assuming cost and time are no relevant factors?
Ooh, okay. So I've got a good one. It's a recipe I stumbled on like probably like 10 years ago at some point. It's the easiest thing in the world. They're called caprese wontons. So all you need are a block of fresh mozzarella, a bunch of grape tomatoes, some basil, and wonton wrappers, which you can find in like the frozen section of any grocery store worth its weight. So what you do is you dice the tomatoes, you chop up the you chop up the cheese into cubes, and then you slice the basil leaves into strips, and then you take the wontons and you kind of like put them in like a little mini tin for like mini cupcakes or whatever. And so like they're all flayed out, and then you just like fill them with all the ingredients. So it's like, it's got like these nice colors, and then you bake that at like 400 degrees for 15 minutes until like the cheese starts bubbling, and then you drizzle some balsamic vinegar on them, and then you eat them, and it's delicious. And like, I could tee off on those. Like, I could eat like 2 trays in one sitting, just like in front of the TV or whatever. They're so edible. Like, I don't know how else to put it. You just like, some beers are referred to as drinkable, or that was like a thing in the mid 2000s that I never understood. If Budweiser is drinkable beer, then like this is edible food. I still don't know what the fuck that means. But yeah, that is my favorite food to make. It's like really satisfying to make. It's really easy. The components are pretty straightforward to prepare, and then you just like dump it all in this like food basket, and then you cook it and you eat it. So yeah, like that's a great first date food, by the way. To hook it back to the last question, because it's something you can make with your partner. So yeah, you can like have them.
And at worst, if you mess it up, it's still probably fine.
Oh yeah. It's like idiot proof. Trust me. I'm not a good cook, and I've like literally never screwed these things up. It's so easy.
Switching for something that's so delightful to aggravating, what is your favorite non-exercising thing that you have to force yourself to do?
Oh, good question. I just listened to your interview with Mark last night, and I don't want to steal his answer. I love Mark, by the way.
Mark's the best.
Yeah, so I'm from Central New York, and I think he was doing law school at Cornell, which is where I went to play Friday Night Magic for the longest time. So I've known him since I was like 14. But yeah, what's the thing that I need to force myself to do? Cleaning. Just like I find it really satisfying to clean
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the house, basically. Like
Oh, it's therapy.
yo, yeah, for sure. And like it's not the type of thing where there's no payoff. Like the
Yeah.
gratification is basically instant because
Yeah.
the
It's very
second you're done,
visible.
you're just like,
Yeah.
holy shit, this place is actually beautiful. It's not the hovel that I have thought it was.
It's not the hovel I previously resided in. It's the Taj Mahal.
Exactly. So yeah, I cleaning by a lot.
Yeah, that one is definitely one of those ones that, as I've grown up, is like, starting off as a kid, it's like, gotta clean your room. And it's like,
Hmm.
I don't want to do this. Like,
Hmm.
yeah, it's done. Can I go play with my toys? But like, when you're living on your own, you don't
Hmm.
want to do it. Or at least I didn't want to do it because it's like, like you're kind of giving credence to that thing your mom once said. But now when you do it, you're like, she was right. This is the best. Like,
Right.
clean living space, or cleaner living space. So good.
Right. Who could have known that that broad nagging me about making my bed was right? Like, it is so nice to get into a bed that is made and the
Yeah.
sheets are crisp. It's like, yeah, it's its own drug.
Yeah. Definitely is one of those things that I'll do just when I like think about it or when it gets too bad, but also one of those ones where it's like having a bad day, or like it's the best kind of like cheat activity when you don't actually want to do something because you're
Yes.
getting something done. The benefit is positive and you feel better afterwards, even though you just, played hooky on filing your taxes or whatever.
Yeah, not to get too meta, but like it's a podcast is kind of like the perfect medium for cleaning
Yeah,
because you just throw it on and then yeah, it's like you're kind of knocking out two birds with one stone, so to speak.
exactly. So, listeners, go out and, clean your apartment while you're listening to our awesome voices.
Yeah, nailed it.
Speaking of awesome, who's someone you've never met, alive or dead, that you'd like to have lunch with?
Um, someone alive or dead that I would like to have lunch with. Um, God, I don't know. Let's let's say Don Hertzfeld. Let's hook it back to that. Like there are a lot of answers, a bunch of names like flooded right in, but that dude seems awesome. Like yeah, I don't know. So obviously the my spoon is too big, the rejected video is like kind of his most popular thing, but he's got a ton of shit under his belt,
Yeah.
and it's all incredible. And his perspective is so unique and really strange but accessible at the same time. Yeah, I would love to meet that dude.
Would you make him your favorite dish? Do you think he'd dig on that, or would you be like too worried that he wouldn't dig on it and like not
Oh,
be able to make it for him?
I would absolutely make it for him. I mean, what are we talking here? Because if he can make it with me, like I'd have a first date with Don Hertzfeld. Oh my God, that would
Snap it off.
that would be incredible. Um, um, yeah, I would make those caprese wontons with Don Hertzfeld. That would be dope. Yeah, he's from Austin, so um, I think his like I think Austin is known for a lot of things, food being one of them, like good food.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'm not worried. I that's like I think a valid concern, but also just not how I'm wired, you know?
Mm.
Because my thing is also like making YouTube videos that are mostly for me. So if I was worried about what people thought, right? Like I would never have made a YouTube
Yeah.
video about like 1998 standard. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Which for better or worse, right? Like
yeah. So
it's
you prefer to take the risk, deal with the consequence, as opposed to shy away from the risk because of potential consequence.
definitely. I'm a big like ask forgiveness, don't ask permission type of guy.
Mm. So speaking of asking of forgiveness, keep using it as a transition point, but
Alien.
speaking as we are speaking, what is your favorite non-traditional curse word?
Um, I love the use of balls as an interjection. just like hearing someone, especially like if you're over 55, like just hearing someone say balls, that'll never not make me laugh. I think that's a really good one.
It's
Yeah,
an ALZ sound. Balls.
yeah, and it's
So
also
great.
just like the typical ones are like shit, fuck, and like you can attach like nouns to them or whatever. But balls
Uh-huh.
are so like that idea is so divergent from like a typical curse word. It's just funny. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is.
Yeah,
It's
I know there's something about it, just like, just sonically and also metaphorically. Like, you know what they're talking about, but it doesn't conjure, at least not to me, it doesn't conjure a disgusting image. It's
no.
just kind of like funny.
Yeah, yeah. It's like it's almost cute in a
Yeah,
really strange way. Oh, why did you censor yourself? Why did you say balls like that? But yeah, yeah, it's so great.
perfectly delivers the point.
Hmm.
What inanimate object would you like to be best friends with were it sentient?
So, um, a couple years back, I sold my Super Nintendo that I had from like childhood. I really wish I hadn't. Yeah, I
No.
know it's so dumb, and I had such a sick collection of games too. But like, if I could be friends with any one inanimate object, it would be that Super Nintendo because like
Hmm.
that thing and I mean, yeah, I would love to have beers with that thing. Just be like, God, we saw some shit, didn't we? Like all those X's. You did not see me get laid that often, but that's okay. Like,
Because you were there to brighten my spirits after she left.
exactly, exactly. God, so much practicing super jumps on Mario RPG. Like, God, what were we doing back then? We needed to get it under control. So yeah, like yeah, my Super Nintendo by a lot. Although who
That's
knows where that
awesome.
thing is now? Poor guy.
Hope he's living that. I'm hoping for a Toy Story 3 ending as opposed to like a Toy Story 2 ending.
Toy Story
Where
is so yeah, having little kids and like watching Toy Story with them, like the four of us can get through one and two okay, but three and four, but three especially is like fucked up.
yeah,
Have,
it takes you to your knees and leaves you there.
right, like
Yeah,
they are ready to die. And they like give
that
up at
scene.
the end of like no, spoiler alert for Toy Story 3, but
Yeah,
they're just like staring death in the eye
yeah,
and then
into
they
the maw of hell.
right literally and then they just like give up and they're like well it was a good run and you're just like oh what the fuck and that's all like ostensibly for children which
Yeah,
obviously it's not for children like they're yeah I mean they're all movies about parenting but they kind of like age with
the
the
audience.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah it's so interesting how they've done that like how they've just aged the movies with the kids who like originally saw it in theaters because I
yeah.
don't
It
know
sounds
if
like
you
the.
sorry keep
Sorry,
going
go. No, 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 you're good.
so I don't know if you remember like when it dropped in 1995 but like I
Hmm.
feel like that movie was in theaters for like a literal year am I remembering that right like do you have any
I can
recollection of
definitely
that
believe that. I
yeah
remember
yeah
that changing the cinematic landscape in a big way.
yes yeah like in so many ways but yeah like
Hmm.
in hindsight, why the hell was that in theaters for a year? Like that's insane. You could not do that now.
Yeah, butts and seats, man. Butts
Yeah.
and seats.
It did it. It did its job. Like
Well, I mean, this is also like pre Netflix, pre everything else, and
right.
so like going to the theater was so big
Yeah.
back then, and like media access was so much lower because this is like pre YouTube and everything like that. So the amount
Right.
of like opportunity was definitely lower. But
Right.
yeah, it is
Yeah.
wild that it's in for a year.
Yeah, you're right. Cable was still kind of novel at this point. Like
Yeah.
Nickelodeon wasn't really like the media industrial complex it was or anything like that. I don't even think Cartoon Network was a thing yet. So yeah, yeah, great point.
Do you have a life hack you'd like to share with the class?
Oh my gosh. So I tend to work hard, not smart. So if I had a one life hack to share, oh Jesus. Again, I'm really tempted to steal Mark's, but I'm not. Yeah, man, that dude is eloquent. Um, one life hack. Um, just put a bottle of water by like on your nightstand because you're gonna want that shit like in the middle of
Yeah.
the night. Like and it hits really nice. That like kind of tepid. It's room
Yeah.
temperature, but it's fine because all you need is like something something to drink
Yeah.
and then go immediately back to sleep.
Yeah.
It hits really nice.
And with a bottle of water too, as opposed to like a lot of people, like to keep a cup of water. The cup of water is bad in the morning, so like
Yeah.
you're not wasting water because it's going back through a series of weird things. As far as I know, maybe you are wasting the water, but with a bottle of water, it's sitting there. If you don't use it, you can use it the next day. If you
Yes.
do use it, then you can put it in the fridge, continue to use it for that day or whatever. But like, yeah, bottled water is really smart.
Yeah, yeah. We're a big hydro flask family, so that's like what our water lives in. But yeah, point well taken. Like a cup of water, you just can't you never know what happens to that water.
Yeah. Maybe a match lights itself aflame and you need to put it out.
Right.
It's got everything covered there.
Hmm.
If you were a condiment, which do you think you'd be?
I brown mustard, I think, just because like what's what's the most like bittersweet condiment, right? And
Right.
I think it is brown mustard. Or at least that's the one that comes to mind.
Mm.
Yeah, man, what a face turn mustard has done in my life. The other week so last week I made garbage plates for my
Oh,
in-laws.
nice.
Yeah, you're familiar with what a garbage plate is?
Through a very odd series of events, yeah, binging with Babish covered it ages ago after what was that movie or Beyond the Pines with Bradley Cooper and Ryan Gosling.
Mhm.
It's like a throwaway line, but apparently Andrew Ray, who's the titular Binging with Babish,
Yeah.
uh, lived in that area, and so he felt inclined to make it, and like did an episode where he made his own and like what's traditionally what he thinks like a better way to make it. So yeah, I'm oddly familiar with something that is so unique to upstate New York.
So for anyone listening who doesn't know what a garbage plate is, it is so the base is half oh God, this is so gross. It's half mac salad and then half like you can parboil potatoes, you can just do like tater tots, but some you can do french fries, but some sort of potato that's fried. And
Yep.
that is those two components are your base. And then what you do is you take like meat slop and you pour that all over your base. And what meat slop is comprised of is basically it's meat, beef stock, basically your entire spice cabinet. So like so like onion powder, garlic powder, paprika, chili powder, um, cumin, uh, you name it. It's all in there. And then
If you're not
uh,
sure to put what in the meat sauce, just put it in the meat sauce. Don't leave it
exactly, you really can't fuck it up.
out.
And then you get mustard, Worcestershire sauce, ketchup, and then you just like make all that in like a cast iron, like whatever. And that's your meat slop, and then you put that on top of your base, and then on top of that you can either put like a hot dog or a cheeseburger or two cheeseburgers. Then you sprinkle some diced onions on top of that, and then you eat it, and then your chest hurts, and that's a garbage plate.
So I love the garbage plate, and before I say this next, what's going to sound like a disparaging remark, which it definitely is not. It's just
Hmm.
what it reminds me of. I have had one of these as much as you can out west because I live in LA,
Hmm.
and it's my jam. I love weird coalitions of, you know, certain food varieties mixing. Love that there's no pomp and circumstance about it. There's no like right way to eat it. You can like shuffle it up. You can, you know, go top down, layer by layer, whatever. And
it's a Rochester, New York delicacy, right? Like it's
delicacy very much in quotation marks. But I feel like this is one of those dishes that was made by a homeless.
Oh yeah.
Like
alcohol was involved.
Alcohol was definitely involved, but what are those like in like a late night infomercial? Because every time you think you're done with this heap, but wait, there's more. Just every time. It's, all right, so we got potatoes and macaroni salad. Oh, that's kind of interesting. But wait, this is like meat slop. And not just your ordinary meat slop. If you call in now, we'll add, you know, also love that you nailed the pronunciation of, I'm not even going to try to say it. The
Worcestershire.
Yeah, just dropping that ear nugget right in.
Oh yeah.
And then like, but wait, there's more. Then you put this on top and that. It's just, it just keeps going. I love it. He's like trying to sell it to other bums who have $1 or something like that. It's so fantastic.
Dude, speaking of bums, so when Eric interviewed you, that story about the guy who walked in while you were dealing, the like homeless guy, and just like just like won 7 hands in a row or whatever. Like I don't even know if I believe that happened. Like that is the sickest shit I've ever heard in my life. And
it was insane.
And I thought I was having a
fever dream. Yeah. I was the only person witnessing it. Is the best part is the place was like basically empty. It was like 3 in the morning. Everybody bounced, and it's this guy. We're about to close the table, and this guy saunters
whoa! Don't tell the story. Make him listen to the Eric
Go back
episode.
to the end of season 1 and listen to the last episode where I go on at many lengths about random things.
After this, of course. But yeah,
this, of course. Yeah, finish listening to this.
Yeah,
then
finish this
rewind time.
But yeah, that episode was quite good. And
that was the best day I've ever had dealing craps for sure. Or dealing roulette.
Yeah, that sounds dope as shit.
It was beautiful. Thank you for doing so much homework and listening to so many episodes. I appreciate it.
Don't even mention it. I just wish I'd heard of this sooner because it's awesome. It's now required listening for me.
Radical. All right.
I hope me plugging this podcast that's already being listened to makes it into the final cut.
It definitely will.
Hell yeah.
It's gonna make it at the very worst. It's gonna make it in the final cut of like depressed Isaac listen to track or just play it and like, man, this is great. Like, nice. People do like. We need that little pick me up.
That's perfect.
Going from pick me up to growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, what did you want to be? Like, what was the occupation or lifestyle that you had envisioned at the youngest age for old Johnny C?
It's the first thing I can remember wanting to be was a train conductor because I really like Thomas the Tank Engine. So we're talking like 4 or 5 years old. I'm in kindergarten. It's 1995. Thomas the Tank Engine, obviously at the peak of his powers. The show is still the model trains, not this like CGI nightmare fuel shit that the kids watch nowadays. It was just like the model trains, and I really wanted to fucking be a conductor bad. That lasted for about 6 minutes, I think. But that's the one I clearly remember, like, yeah, I'm gonna be a train conductor and I'm gonna drive Thomas around his branch line.
So moving further later in life, down the track, if you will, was there a job that you found yourself kind of after train conductor where you actually like kind of started to pursue it that you're very glad you didn't get?
So I got the gig at TCG Player when I was 25 and I'm 33 now. So I didn't really have much of an opportunity to pursue anything else or even brick anything else. But I will tell you a low point in my life after I like graduated college and was just like bouncing around these really shitty temp jobs, like copywriting and what have you. Oh God, this is so depressing. I actually applied to work at American Eagle in the mall. And I'm like, I'm 23. And so like it was like a group interview, and I was the oldest person there by like 5 years. And yeah, and like very easily the fattest. So like that was my rock bottom. That was my like, okay, I am, yeah, I have to leave now. So yeah, that was brutal. Thank the Lord I didn't get that shit. I don't even like American Eagle. I just like, I needed a job, and it was like a thing on like Craigslist or whatever. But yeah, I have not relived that in a minute. That was the worst. That shit sucked. Whew. Okay. Yeah, well, next trauma, please. Holy shit.
Well, we kind of touched on this before, and this seems like as good an opportunity to get into it. You said you started working at TCG when you were 25, and the kind of route to what you're doing now, you said it was a bit of a long story, so now is as good a time as any. Would you care to elaborate?
Yeah, for sure. So, it's 2013. My girlfriend at the time, she worked at a chia mill in Skinny Atlas. Skinny Atlas is
those words sound made up, by the way. Everything you just said sounds like you're covering up for identities and locations.
It's not. Yeah, I can imagine, especially to someone from the West Coast, how bullshit all of that sounds. I swear to God, every word of it's true. So Skinny Atlas, if you're familiar with upstate New York at all, we have the Finger Lakes. And because of all the snow, they're really only hospitable for like 3 or 4 months of the year max. But Skinny Atlas Lake, which Skinny Atlas is on, that's like the fucking yuppie one. Like the Clintons have a house in Skinny Atlas, right? So my girlfriend is working at a chia mill there, and her company is part of this like softball league with other local businesses, and I used to go to the games and like hang out sometimes because I like knew all her coworkers and I liked them all and yada yada yada. So one time she calls me up and she's like, one of our subs, because she shared an office with a dude who knew another dude that would like play for the team. She's like, one of our subs like knows who you are and he owns TCG Player. You need to come down. And the dialogue between them was like, and this is 2013. The dialogue between them was like, "Hi, I'm Emily. What do you do?" And he goes, "Hi, my name is Chetty. I own TCG Player, but you probably don't know what that is." And she's like, "Well, no, I have a boyfriend who plays Magic, and he actually writes for Cool Stuff Inc." And Chetty goes, "Oh, you're dating John CORPORA." And she was like, "Holy
snaps off the ref."
Yeah. She was like, "Holy fucking shit. Okay, John needs to get down here."
Yeah.
Because, yeah, like, he's temping now and everything's fine, but who knows when that's going to be done. So, like, let's get down here and, like, talk to this dude. And so, Chetty, owner of TCG Player, grills me with just, like, a bunch of questions about, you know, my spending habits, how many tournaments do I go to, like, what's my article consumption like how am I browsing that shit.
Filling out an info leaflet for himself.
Right. And he could not, like, ask me enough questions. Like, it was literally like he'd be in the batter's box and he'd be like, "Hey, John, come here." And he'd just be like, asking me questions. He'd go to bat. And then, like, as the second he got back, he was just, like, grilling me again. And so I was like, afterwards, I was just like, wow, that was really intense. I did not know TCG Player was based around here. Also, that dude was pretty fucking weird. So that was summer 2013. Fast forward to like February of 2014. My ex hears through her office mate that they are hiring for like a fulfillment position, which I was like, wait, aren't they a marketplace? Like, don't stores just like sell through? I don't give a shit. let's just apply. Let's like pull whatever strings we can
Yeah.
and like get that job that like no one's supposed to know about, because that was part of it. Like
Yeah.
Emily's like, no one's supposed to know about this position, but like you need to go for it. Like you just pull whatever strings you can, get a seat at the table, get an interview, do what you got to do. And luckily I'd been around the area enough, knew enough people to like get in touch with Chetty, and interviewed with them, got the job. And so this was before TCG Player Direct started. So part of my original position there was to like set up the processes for TCG Player Direct, because you've got to like receive the cards and then like grade them and then file them away and then pull them and fulfill orders, all that stuff. So like that was like kind of my first job at TCG Player. And obviously they knew like my background. Like I have a creative writing degree, which is fucking useless. And I had been writing for like all these sites. Like at that point, I was writing for Channel Fireball. I had written for Cool Stuff. I had written for Star City as well. And so when the opportunity, but like they didn't really have a need for that kind of thing at that point. Like what they needed was to get Direct off the ground, and they knew I could like help there. So once the need for like a subject matter expert within the company kind of like presented itself, I was able to move over to marketing. So I started, my first day was March 30th, 2014, and then maybe July 2015 was when I made the move over to the marketing department. And then that kind of like started me on the path to what I'm doing now, which is managing both the infinite.tcgplayer.com blog and also our YouTube channel.
Wow, that's awesome.
Just like right place, right time, multiple times. Like it really, the world is so fucking tight. Like it's mind-boggling how many like good breaks I got, and like even retelling it, I'm just like, holy shit! Like it's sick.
That is insane. I've had very similar experiences, but that one is just like.
Right.
Like the best one I've ever had, like I had two situations where I ended up getting jobs because of like word of mouth through bizarre circumstances. Like I quit. So I've been a poker dealer since I was 19.
Oh, nice.
And I quit the first job when I turned 21 thinking I was hot shit. Turned out it was a really bad time to do it because it was the beginning. It was in like 2008.
Sure.
When all businesses were having just the best year of their life.
Oh, yeah. The Rust Belt definitely felt that shit.
Yeah, I'll bet they did. So I applied or looked at every single casino in California, and I think plenty in Nevada, and like went to one interview, didn't get it, but like every other place wasn't hiring, was feeling crestfallen, and then a dealer that didn't have my number, who I was not on particularly great terms with and thought he was a moron, called me up out of nowhere at like 11 p.m. on like a Tuesday and goes, "Hey, heard you were looking for work." Don't know how he knows that. Goes, "There's a place hiring in the middle of nowhere that's like, it's a decent sized casino, but it's like Northwest Coast. You know, they're hiring." I was like, "Oh shit." Looked up, ended up getting a job there, worked there for 5 glorious years. It was great.
Nice.
And then, you know, the next job I moved to, I was dealing on a table, feeling not specifically great. And then in random conversation, it comes up that there's a casino being built a couple 100 miles down the road. It's going to be big. I hadn't heard anything about this. Ended up, you know, getting a job there. And so like multiple times, exact same thing. But that your just word of mouth through random meetup is just, that is some movie fuel right there. That is amazing.
Before that, I had no idea that TCG Player was even based out of Syracuse. Like I had no idea it was right in my backyard because I grew up right between Ithaca and Syracuse. Like both of them were like a half-hour drive for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been playing Magic in Syracuse like pretty much my whole life.
That's crazy.
And yeah, I just had no idea that like TCG Player was based out of Syracuse. Like I never would have assumed in a million
went
years.
From 0 to 100. Yeah, he was like went from didn't know it was there. Like the president knows who I am, and I'm meeting him all in the span of like half an hour.
Yeah,
it's
it's
amazing.
It was overwhelming for sure. It was a lot. Yeah.
So I'm gonna throw you a hypothetical.
Please do.
You're going out to a party.
Mm-hmm.
There's somebody there that you want to impress, whether it be potential boss like the TCG scenario, potential love interest, whatever. You want to look special.
Sure.
What, other than your normal garb, what item do you put on to look extra?
Whew. Oh man. Yeah, I'm just like so not an extra guy. And I would assume that like Wizard Squares select for guys that are also not extra. But let me see what I got. So
extra might not be the best word. What I more mean is like you just want to stand out. You want to be noticed. You want to look foil. You want to look like like you want to like pop. You want to be noticed and not for the bad reason.
Sure. I might bleach my hair, honestly. Cause growing up, I was born in '89. So growing up in the '90s, like first there was like the frosted tips, and then obviously Eminem was huge following that. And like my mom just never let me do that shit. So I've always had like a fascination with like getting my hair bleached. So like, yeah, I might do that. Like it's overwhelmingly likely that it's just going to look terrible. Right. but like, yeah, I'm definitely down to try. And like the age window where that's appropriate for me is like almost certainly already closed, but like, let's say it's open. Right, it's not going to be open for very much longer. It might close like this weekend. So if I want to get that in, if I want to like live that, I really have to do it soon because that train is leaving the station.
It's funny that you make the connection between Frosted Tips and Eminem.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple friends that they bleached their hair because I don't remember why, but they ended up looking a lot. I saw pictures of them when they were in high school, and they looked a lot like Eminem, but they were doing it before Eminem, but then Eminem came out very shortly after. And so they got like they very much were country boys. They just kind of like the way it looked. And so they were getting lumped in with this group, and they're like, we were doing like they had like a hipster moment without being a hipster. Like, we were doing this before. Like, stop. They're like, oh, you're offensive. Like, no, we were just doing this before because we're broke, poor white trash.
Oh my god,
leave us alone.
That's awesome. That's perfect because like the progression from like Frosted Tips to Eminem, it just makes so much sense to me. Yeah. But yeah, I could see. Oh god, that rules though. Like a bunch of country boys getting associated with hip hop, just like just surreptitiously. Yeah, that rules. I love it.
What life lesson do you wish you learned sooner?
Ooh, man, what life lesson do I wish I learned sooner? To be patient with yourself. I think allow yourself be patient enough to think through a problem, because for the longest time I operated like exclusively on intuition, and that is tough. Like, this is really tough to do, and I kind of recently figured out like why I did that, and it was for no reason other than just like I was impatient. Like I just like wasn't giving myself a chance to reason through anything. I was just like, okay, my first instinct, I'm going to go with it because waiting for the real answer sucks and it takes more than 5 seconds and there's no instant gratification there. So I'm not going to do it. But yeah, like taking time to think is it doesn't come naturally to me, and I don't think it comes naturally to many people. And for a long time, I think I was resistant to it because I was still kind of shell shocked from watching old Frank Karsten feature matches. Like there was one year where Frank Karsten was in the finals of the World Championship, and I just remember very vividly like watching that live and just being so mad at like how long he was taking with like what I thought was a really straightforward turn. That dude took for fucking ever. In hindsight, it was right because it was Frank Karsten and like he was playing greater good. So like the shit mattered, but like I couldn't see it because I was 14. You know
exactly. Well, also it's an interesting skill because so much of this time is that we live in, at least as far as I can see it, is we're always trying to maximize the amount that we accomplish or do. And there's so much that it's on a bucket list, so much to watch, so much to, you know, do with the little time that we have.
Sure, yeah. The like, world is our oyster these days, right?
Yeah.
Like...
But like, I mean, I think it's correct, and it's something I don't quite do enough, and I'm sure plenty of other people don't, is take the time to think and like whether map out decisions in a game you're playing or think about ramifications of what you're going to do. But there's this fear of overthinking. So we end up, or at least it sounds like you and I end up doing something quickly so that we maybe not necessarily don't do that, but so that we utilize our time better. But by doing so, there's a very real chance that we are skipping past these moments and making mistakes or making decisions that we're just making them so that they've been made.
Right. That's an excellent point. I also think like, so for me, there was also a fear of like, if I just sit here and tank, that's like impolite. But in reality, it's like, who's actually going to give a shit? And I can actually give like only one time I've ever experienced someone give a shit, and that was actually during my interview at TCG Player. So I'm sitting there with the two co-founders, Chetty Hampson, and then Ray Moore is the other one, and Leah, who now is like the head of the catalog in the entire company. And so I'm interviewing with them, and I am asked the question, if you could have a superpower, what would it be? And so I'm like, I'm in the tank. And I think I was there a little too long because eventually Ray goes, dude, just this question doesn't matter. Just like say whatever. And I was
say
like,
a word.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, that was like the one time where my fear was founded. But like, yeah, literally every other time I've like given myself the bandwidth to think through something, which doesn't sound that revolutionary. It doesn't. It sounds like very obvious. Like, yeah, of course you should think about the things that you're doing, but like, yeah, like you said, it can be hard for myriad reasons.
Yeah,
it's so weird.
John, if you could choose your last words and the circumstance in which you would utter them, what do you think they would be?
My last words would be my last words would be, that was great. And it would be because I had died mid-coitus.
Yeah, Yeah, go out with a bang or some such simile.
Nailed it.
What poor man luxury do you still enjoy to this day, other than the garbage plate?
Cracker Barrel, where I just went with my in-laws. Yeah, it would have to be Cracker Barrel. Oh, hi, Luke. Sorry, that's my cat. He'll go away when he realizes he's not going to be pet. So sorry about that.
Never say sorry for the cat.
Okay.
He's not going to say it for himself anyway.
No, he's definitely not. Oh, good. He's just posting up in here. All right, so we might be interrupted by Luke by a little bit, but that's okay.
Yeah. What is your go-to order, or what you'd recommend for somebody who hasn't been to Cracker Barrel, such as myself or any West Coasters that are unlucky enough to find themselves in the vicinity they're in?
So, oh God, so if you're at a Cracker Barrel, you're in an irrevocable place of self-loathing anyway. So I would say just go with the chicken fried steak and get maybe an order of scrambled eggs with it. It's gonna be fine. You'll feel it. It's gonna hurt you, but you'll be fine. Both can be true, right? It's going to you're going to hurt on a metaphysical level, and you'll be fine, right? We'll all be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, the real way to know thyself is to eat a Cracker Barrel. I think it's it's the only way I can square it.
Somewhere out there's a Buddhist who is now enlightened by that sentence. Oh, I've been doing it wrong all along. I just need to go to a Cracker Barrel. What media, whether it be book, graphic novel, TV show, or movie, have you been putting off that is or you'd like to be next on your to consume list?
There's this author. She is very active on Twitter. Her name is Patricia Lockwood, and she is brilliant. She has a brilliant book called Priest Daddy, which I highly recommend.
Priest Daddy.
It fucking rules. Yeah, I want to say she grew up in Cincinnati, and her dad was a pastor. And he's kind of like a megalomaniac. I can't really do it justice. But yeah, if you Google Patricia Lockwood or Priest Daddy, you can at least check out her Twitter feed and see if that voice she uses is your thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, she has another novel out. I don't know what it's called. I'm actually gonna take the 2 seconds to look it up, because I can't recommend her enough. She's just dope. No one is talking about this.
Talking about this novel?
Yeah, no one is talking about this. That's the media that is on my to-do list that keeps escaping me. Unfortunately, books are so easy to put off. But yeah, I really, really want to read that one badly.
Well, instead of focusing on media that you've been putting off, what is media that some people should consume? Namely, what is one song you can make sure listeners of this podcast should go out and listen to?
Aha. So my favorite song of all time. By the way, if there is an afterlife, I really hope I get to find out what my play counts on certain songs were. I really want to know how many times I've listened to all the songs I've ever heard, just because I really like listening to songs on repeat. So and this song is probably the song I've listened to the most. It's by a early 80s hardcore band named Husker Du, and the song is called Don't Know Yet. It's off of their album Flip Your Wig, and it is an instrumental track played backwards. So
wow,
it's much more listenable than you would assume, just based on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just dig it. I'm
not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I'm gonna listen to it after this.
Yeah.
But just that ramp up sounds like the most hipster thing I've ever heard.
It totally is. Like, it totally is. You're absolutely right. It's such bullshit. It's such like
they've got umlauts over the letters in their name.
Oh yeah.
Like it's instrumental. It's played backwards. Last song of the track.
This band could be your life, bro. Yeah, it fucking blows. But like, it's also like I just love it. I'm such a sucker for that shit. Like it's But yeah, you're totally right. Like I can't even front.
Oh, it's so awesome. All right. Well, with that, we're going to throw it to our first break. Feel free to stick around and enjoy this totally real commercial, or take a minute to enjoy Don't Know Yet by Husker Du. Or if you really wanted to hear a song from a previous episode, check out the playlist on Spotify, Passionate People and Preposterous Peeve Podcast, Song Rex. It's a long title, I know. Don't worry, there's a link in the description. Either way, see you in a jiffy. Have you ever just looked at fried carbs on a plate and thought, I need to eat those, but it doesn't taste all that appetizing? Introducing catsup. Catsup is a sugary and red syrupy paste that'll overshadow any unappreciated taste. Simply douse the unpreferred tasting object and ingest. Mmm. Thanks, catsup. Welcome back, everybody.
Hi.
So I'm here with...
I fucking keep trying to do this shit, and it does not play. Oh boy, this rules. Having fun on the podcast, by the way. Thanks for having me.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, this has been great.
So bring it back to the second segment. Yeah. John, what is your passion?
So this is really embarrassing because my passion is magic, which is
nerd.
It's so played out, and also like I'm so fucking bad at it. Like I'm so bad at magic, it is unreal. And it is.
Yeah, but your passion's a lot more interesting than just magic in general.
Sure, I like the context of it. Like I like the history of it. The competitive aspect of it. Also, just like the game is fucking humongous, and this is a trap that like people fall into less often now that Commander is so like widely adopted. But I'm thinking back like 15 years ago, the idea that like magic is so big that you shouldn't like shit on people for how they choose to enjoy it, like
totally
was something that I definitely needed to hear more often back then. But like now that like now that Commander's not only like part of the fabric, but like basically the whole fabric.
Yeah.
Like it just needs to be said less. It's like less of a it's less of an important idea. Like my appreciation of Commander skyrocketed the first week that I had to fulfill orders at TCG Player. Because I would say I would estimate conservatively that 95% of orders were Commander, and then the other 5% were like for competitive people. So like that shit was like literally paying my rent, and now my mortgage. Like I met my wife at TCG Player. So like right, holy shit, this job gave me everything. That's so gross. But yeah.
There's a bit of a salty tale, salty in language, not in content, that I have to, you're just reminding me of too exactly. So this is right, you're talking about right, Commander came out, and this is like started becoming like a major part of Magic around like the early 2010s, right?
Yeah. I think the first Commander precons dropped in 2013. Yeah.
So this is right around that time, if not when it was previously known as EDH, which is Elder Dragon Highlander. So I don't remember which time this was, but it'd become a format that had been given a name. People started playing it, like local shops were picking it up. And I remember going, this is either like early 2013 after the product has dropped, or before, when it was like really becoming commodified by like Magic, the company, as well as, you know, the fans. I walk up to a vendor at a Grand Prix, which for those of you who don't know, you know,
big convention.
big convention that everybody can show up to. You don't need a special invite. You can come play, give cash, and there's a bunch of little side events. It's a great way to have fun, travel, and hang out and compete with friends.
Yeah, and vendors also, like vendors at the cards, they pay for space on the floor and they buy and sell cards.
Yep. So there is a dozen or so vendors at the event, and I walk up and this guy's just setting up a shop, and I have nothing to do. The event hasn't started yet. Almost none of the vendors are open. I also am broke and don't need anything. And I knew about EDH. I had heard that it was like good. You know, it was a lot of people buying cards, stuff like that. And I walked up to this vendor. I was like, so, you know, is EDH good for you guys? Or, you know, what is this?
Yeah.
And the guy just stopped. He's laying out all his product and he just stops. And he looks at me and goes, and the person that created the event or created the format or brought it to its prominence that it is before it, you know, got picked up and renamed, is Sheldon Menery.
That's right.
He's a judge and longtime Magic figurehead.
Yes.
And he goes, I believe that at every event, Sheldon Menery should be at the front of the room and we should form a line, all the vendors, and just go up and give him a blowjob.
Oh, yeah.
And he just looks at me dead. There's no like, this is insane. He just says it calm, cool, and collected.
Yep.
And I just go, okay. And then he just goes back to sorting his card. He doesn't explain himself, nothing. Just, we should all form a line and give him a blowjob. And then just like goes back to putting out his cards. And I'm just like, okay, that's a great.
and the insane shit is that is not hyperbole.
No, it's not.
Like, it's literally like just after having like a front row seat to like, you know, like a high volume of orders and like just seeing like how they break down, like knowing the cards and like knowing what's going where, like, oh, okay, this order full of one-ofs, or like if I'm selling like a doubling season, like that's not for standard, right? Like, or it's not for modern. No competitive person is doing this. Yeah, it's so, Commander's so sick. And I definitely like coming up in like the early 2010s and late 2000s, mid 2000s, whatever, like a big part of it was also like being young, but like I think I was just like looking for reasons to shit on people, like, oh, that dude's using a playmat, scrub. That dude's got like pins on his playmat. Holy shit, I could never lose to that dude. Just like dumb shit like that is just like, those ideas are so like antiquated now. Like you seem so stupid for even like saying them out loud.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, because playmats are like ubiquitous now, and like everyone uses them. Like, the kids that like beat me up at the weeklies now, like they all have playmats, and like they'll ask me if like I want to borrow one. And I'll be like, I'm good. The table's clean. I have sleeves on my cards, but thank you. And then they'll just like dunk me into the toilet and then move on with their lives. And it's like, okay, got it. Playmats are fine, I guess.
Yeah.
Playmats are fine, and Commander's paying my mortgage.
Yeah, exactly. I think that is one of the beautiful things about Magic, and I think in certain aspects, depending upon where you look, our society these days, is that this idea of, you know, yucking somebody else yum for, you know, to put it in a different kind of repertoire, is very much been kind of, I feel like that was a thing, we're about the same age, that like growing up in the 90s, that was so much of a thing from like the Gen Xers that came before us, was just like, you're stupid, everybody sucks, but you especially. It wasn't that they like were cooler, it's that you were dumb.
Right.
And now with like millennials and is it Gen Z, I guess, if I
Zoomers
correctly, Zoomers, is that it's more about, I really like this thing, and showcasing, you know, your passion and talking about what you're passionate about, and not having people just go, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
But people looking at you and go, and just enjoying your excitement and your love. You know, thus this podcast is, that's so much what this is about.
Right. Yeah, all the mediums right now seem like I think it's just a coincidence, but they are like kind of the perfect platforms for like demonstrating passion or fandom, whatever. Like if you look at YouTube, like that's all that is. It's just like people really liking shit and nerding out and going super deep.
Yeah.
And podcasting obviously is a lot of the same. Like it's sweet. Like it's not lame. And as a matter of fact, it's like that Gen X perspective is the lame thing. And I think the world is a better place now that shit is the lame shit.
Yeah.
Wow. To make it super nebulous.
Well, I mean, and that's one of the reasons I reached out to you, is watching your videos, like you said, on YouTube, and the way you talk about Magic history and your experience and the way you see things, but especially like older events and kind of creating a story and the way you talk about stuff, it really is so beautiful.
I appreciate that.
A couple weeks ago when I saw, I think it's really recent that I like came across your stuff on TCG, and I think it was you talked about one of the most, initially it was, kind of bringing it back, it was a Gen X approach to the match between, what is it? It's the
Bob Maher and Brian Davis, yeah.
Yeah, Brian Davis and Bob Maher.
And like the guys calling that match are like dyed in the wool Gen Xers, right? Like
yeah.
It's like it's Randy Bueller and I think Brian
Hackerman. And just like, come up with a more Gen X last name, Hackerman, I dare you.
Mm-hmm.
But like the way you break down that match and you talk and you understand their side of it, and you don't be like, they're stupid, they're wrong. And you just break down the match, break down the scenario, talk about everything through this. There's some moments where you break down the strategy and you try to make sense of a scenario. And so you give a little bit more, like more gray kind of understanding of, well, he's not wrong. It was like incorrect, but it's like a marginal thing.
Right.
And just that, you don't know, this game's really hard, and breaking it down and just looking and being, I think the thing that makes it shine the most, and makes most of your videos shine the most to me anyway, is that level of excitement.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Just the way you talk about, you make a point to talk about the Beanie Baby. There's all these little things. I think the best part of it is it's so great. I would highly recommend all fans, Magic or otherwise, to go out and watch this great video. I'll include it, the links. If you look up just Pretty Deece,
God. By the way, that name, I was outvoted on that name. Like I never
you did not want it, or you did want it?
Okay, so where that name comes from, the series is heavily inspired by this dude on YouTube. His name is John Boyes, and he makes like these little mini documentaries about like the weird shit in sports, and I loved his work. And his series was called Pretty Good, stories about things that are pretty good. So like for example, he talks about like he has like a 40-minute video about the highest scoring NCAA basketball game where like Troy State scored like 258 points in like one basketball game against like DeVry from like the commercials, right? So like and he went really deep into like, okay, here's a basketball engine. It's not made to score 250 points in the allotted time. Here's how these maniacs did it. And I recommend watching that as well, probably more than my own shit. But I'm
not interviewing him. I'm interviewing you.
Fair. So, and his series was called Pretty Good, and I was like, dude, this totally works for Magic. It actually works better for Magic because like the audience is like people who are very happy to get in the weeds anyway. Like,
yeah, totally.
They're so happy to nerd out about this kind of shit. So like my like he now works on like the UX side at TCG Player, but he was in like the creative services department before. His name is Jason, and him and I are like our mandate was just like do YouTube videos. And if you scroll through our YouTube channel, it is just like an ideas graveyard. because in marketing, just like it is so important to just like throw shit at the wall. And we really took that idea to heart. Like if you have the spare time, anybody listening to this, go on TCG Player's YouTube channel, sort by like newest to oldest, and then just like scroll for, you know, maybe 30 seconds. And then once you get down to like the really gaudy ass like thumbnails, you'll know. Like you'll know it when you see it. And because like for our preview cards, I used to write like basically like the Office episodes, but like about our preview cards. And like I can't really look at them without cringing, but like my coworkers will just like put them on.
Oh, that's awesome.
And embarrass the shit out of me. But yeah, like so that I'm this is like a tangent within a tangent, but there was one video where we had to preview the mythic merfolk in Rivals of Ixalan. And the way that card worked, I don't fucking remember what it's called. Maybe Kumena, but like it just like had all these abilities like stapled onto it. And so like how I chose to like make a video about that as like our preview video was like, I'm going to be Guy Fieri. I'm going to host a fake cooking show, and I'm just going to like put all this shit in a different X this time. In my X's like blender, blend it all up, and then like drink the card water. It's going to be gross, and it's going to be funny. People will laugh, and then we'll fade to black or whatever. And the cards that I blended up, they were like, the total value of them was like 15 cents. And we got a lot of responses like, what the fuck? Why'd you blend those cards? And like, it's just like the dumbest human beings imaginable. And so I obviously like have the keys to our YouTube. So as TCG Player, I responded, don't worry, that was CGI. And then the replies back were like, oh, thank God it was CGI. Oh, and it's like, of course it wasn't CGI, you fucking moron. Like, what do you think? I blended 15 cents and drank it. That's so much cheaper than doing CGI. What are you talking about? But so yeah, our YouTube channel is just like this huge graveyard full of ideas, and our mandate was literally just to like do YouTube. Like we had no KPIs, we had no like key performance indicators that were like set. We just got to like look at the metrics ourselves and optimize for, you know, like what we thought was important. And at some point so yeah, it was me like on the like writing and voiceover side, and then it was my coworker Jason. He did all the like recording and like handling of the sound, and then all the animations. And he did that for like years and years. And I had heard about, this was like back when Dominaria had dropped in 2018, and there was this card in that set is Tashar. And there were like a lot of ways to make like convoluted ass loops that like involved like 5 cards, but like you loop them this way thanks to like some weird like timing window or whatever, and you needed Yahenni and all this shit. And we basically just like visualized these infinite loops because for my money, like Jason was the only person in like the Magic YouTube space who could do it. So like I was like, fuck it, why don't you just stun on these people and just like make this shit that no one else can make? And he did it. And before then, we had never gotten like more than 5,000 views on a video. So this thing dropped on a Friday, and Jason and I are at the bar after work, and he's like, dude, this thing's been up for an hour and it has like 12,000 views, which is like it was like a lot for then. And yeah, we were both like shitting our pants. And then like by the time we got into the office Monday, it was at like 25K. And like our boss was just like, okay, you need to make more of these. So like we made some about like KCI, we made some about the old Cheerios deck with all the zero cost equipment and that card SRAM or whatever. And then like those all caught as well. And eventually like our boss sat us down and like, okay, we need a name for the series. And we had been calling it Pretty Decent internally because they knew I was like obsessed with this dude John Boyce, and like Pretty Decent was like a good shorthand for us internally, like when's the next Dece coming out, etc. And so yeah, I was outvoted on the name because I really did not want to fucking call it Pretty Decent because I just like it's just such a weird phrase. It's like the weirdest fucking phrase. And like it's really hard to talk about a product called Pretty Decent with anyone over the age of 40. Like just like making them say it seems like you're like taking their dignity away in a way. Like, I'm so sorry I made you say the words pretty and decent in a row, but here we are. Sorry. But yeah, I got outvoted on that, so that's like how the name came up. But like the formula was originally like showing convoluted combos, and then we just started like throwing more shit at the wall. It was like, I wonder, like, because we had more room to like stun on people with like the animation work that we were capable of doing. So I was just like, yeah, why don't we try like some long form shit that's interesting, like because they're like, because again, Magic is fucking huge, and it carries like 30 years of mistakes and nonsense and like just all this shit. Like it would be so hard to like capture every interesting story in a lifetime about Magic. So so we did that. I don't remember like what the first like, you know, like long form blog type video we did was, but the one that sticks out to me the most is the one you already brought up about like the worst block ever. The one about
prophecy being the worst block.
Yeah,
masks being the worst block.
Yeah. The one about masks. That one like that one got a lot of traction. And after that it was like, okay, well, let's see if anybody cares about original Kamigawa block. Let's see if anybody cares about what I think about textless cards, and on and on and on. And this was also the same time like Ristic Studies was like taking off too. So there was obviously like an audience for this stuff, and I was like, I love Ristic Studies, like, and I was always
amazing
super
channel.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that dude is smart as fuck. And I was always like watching his stuff and being like, man, wish I was doing more of that. Well, why? There's obviously an audience for it. He's like satisfying a need. Let's just like do it. And I feel so fortunate that like it worked out, you know? Yeah. Like another example of just like being in the right place in the right time. Like the parlay never, it has not stopped yet.
It kept going. Well, right. I mean, you're on this tinky tiny little podcast, so maybe the engine's running, I guess.
Everyone starts somewhere.
Everybody starts somewhere. So were you a fan of like history or trivia growing up? Because so much of what I love about this is the kind of this attention to detail and love for the seeming innocuous and like going into backstories. I mean, you can hear it in the way you talk about your life with so much vigor of like the things that do matter but don't really, like they're kind of like footnotes, and that seems to be what you just glean onto and like to glamorize. Is that something that started, you know, around like bar trivia or a history class growing up, or
so like you, I also went to community college, and when like during our orientation we took like this strengths quest thing.
The Myers-Briggs.
Not quite. This is slightly different. It's just like there are all these traits that are just like out on a table, and you take this test and you get like your top 5. And my top one was context. And I can't really point to why that is, but like after seeing that result, I was like, wow, that's absolutely right. And like it kind of empowered me to lean into it a little more, just like being a nerd about things that happened, why they happened that way, like all the like butterfly effect nonsense stuff that like could have changed. I don't know. I have a really hard time defining like what the genesis of that fascination is, or like why it's carried into now. I've just like always been into that. This is a really shitty way to answer your question.
No,
because it was a good question, and I feel badly. I couldn't do it justice.
This is so great that like it's not only that like it started off, but you're also doing it now, and that you got to make it, you know, a very big part of your job is getting to do this thing that is your natural inclination.
Luckiest
and like something
idiot
that you
that's
just
ever
love.
lived. That's me. This is the luckiest.
It was really funny when you were saying that you like went up to the table and you were choosing your like the attributes and like, you know, the characteristics that kind of made up who you are.
Oh, sorry, you like take a test. So like But
sorry, the way you described it initially, it sounded like a Rochester draft. Like you went up, you're like, and you just like you were like making your character from scratch. I got the idea of what you're talking about, but just like the way you said it, I was like, wait, did you like? When was this? Were you like 3 and then you went to like a special school? Like...
Yeah, I am much better scripted. Is basically like what. So yeah, I was like on the fence about like doing a podcast at all, and it's because like I do not consider myself a strong extemporaneous thinker or speaker. Like I've always been interested in context, and I've always enjoyed writing a lot because it like helps me to think better. Like and I think what you pointed out about the like Brian Davis match was that the empathy comes through when I like, you know, give myself a chance to think, because when I'm watching that game, when I'm like 17, I'm just shouting at the TV like an idiot, right? Yeah, because
like everybody was.
Exactly.
It's a sports match, and like you want the people that are smart to win, you want the people who are dumb to get punished for their mistakes.
So yeah, I am almost certainly a better version of myself when I give myself some space to think, and writing is a really effective tool at doing that.
I mean, it's a novel idea when it comes to music, but the reality is that almost nobody is better live.
Sure.
Yeah. And almost everybody is better with prep and with editing. It's just like, it's so hard to beat that.
Yeah, that's fair.
But you're doing great, John. So
thanks, man.
Don't take yourself down a peg.
Hell yeah. Thank you.
What would you say is the biggest misconception about creating content, looking at history and, you know, magic history in general, I guess, but just, you know, doing video essays specifically based on what has happened or your opinion on like a time period?
I have another anecdote to go with this one. So
Sweet.
Story time. One of the videos we did, one of the last ones Jason and I did that I'm really, really proud of. This was a script that was like on the shelf for 3 years because like we just didn't have the like technical acumen to pull it off. And it's the Anatomy of Luck. It's about Patrick Chapin and Gabriel Nassif. Yeah, in that world's top 4, I believe. Yep. And shit, dude. I just forgot where I was going with this completely. So wait, hang on. The question was, oh yeah, perception. Okay, you got it. So, I put that video out, and the feedback was like immediate, and people really liked it, and like that was kind of the first time in like reading feedback that I got really overwhelmed, because that was like that was when I took a long time on, and yeah, in the time between like writing it for the first time and then like publishing it, I had become like my boss was no longer at TCG Player, and I had become my boss's position. Like I had gone from an editor to the content manager, and so like it was just like it was symbolic of like a long time coming. And
the student has become the master.
I more or less. So I'm reading the feedback as it's coming in and getting like pretty emotional. So I have to go out and like go for a walk, because usually I'm pretty joyless about that shit. I'm just like, okay, on to the next one. Like, it doesn't matter, because like I've just lost so much at Magic that I like can't derive joy from people saying nice things about me anymore. So I get home that night, and I'm watching Gabe Nassif's stream, and he's watching my fucking video.
Wow.
And it was like the dopest, most surreal moment of my life. Maybe not of my life, but like top 5 for sure. And I hop in
your wife might hear this.
Right. I hop in his chat, and I'm like, hey man, I made that video. And he was like, oh, this is gas. This is awesome. Thank you. And then he goes, how long did this take you? Like 10 hours? I was just like, dude, yeah, like multiply that by 10. I didn't say that in the chat, but I was just like, yeah, it took a while. But like the biggest misconception is just like how long that shit takes, and how often you can really do them. Because like they require a fuck ton of research, and Magic Wizards of the Coast is like particularly bad at like providing an archive where you can like look up data very easily. So like so for example, my most recent video is the history of the Pro Tour, the first season of the Pro Tour. And so like for the first ever Pro Tour, we have all the top 8 decks, and we have the standard format, and it's all good. But then like if you try to find out anything about any of the other Pro Tours from season 1, there's just like nothing. And it's so fucking frustrating that is the case. Like it's unreal that there are just like no resources available to look up like what the player of the year race looked like, like what the deck lists were from like the Ice Age block Pro Tour. Like doing that research is like exceptionally difficult.
You're like an anthropologist or a historian who's trying to find information out about the Library of Alexandria.
Right.
You're just like, there's nothing? It's like, it's all gone?
Yeah.
Like, all we have is like, overdue library, like receipts of like, you haven't returned, the Bible in a couple thousand years,
right,
George.
Yeah.
And like, the fines are starting to pile up. That's like all you have to work with.
And it's a little frustrating because it's all negligence on like Wizards of the Coast's part.
Yeah.
Like, there's no, like, the library wasn't ransacked or anything like that. It was just like, it was a preventable problem, which is so fucking annoying. Like they just like don't care about this product enough to like maintain anything. I'm going off on a tangent. Like that's not really what this is about. But like, yeah, the biggest misconception is that like these things don't take that long. They're the kind of things you can churn out. Um, that's just not the case.
No.
And that misconception doesn't necessarily bother me. But it is a misconception for sure.
Yeah. Doing videos, I graduated with a film degree, so
Oh,
in a very
nice.
similar vein as your creative writing of, yay, what do I do with this? Oh, nothing. Cool.
Right.
But there was multiple times I've done projects for videos, nothing to the elaborate extent that you have, but even just making videos of my own content, editing, reworking it, the amount of hours to get that I put in making a 3-minute music video
Oh yeah.
would just blow people's socks off. They're like, wow, this is really good. It's just like the amount of time, like they would either over exaggerate, like, well, this must have taken you like months. Like, okay, well, it didn't take me that long. Like, calm down. Other people are like, wow, this is like, a couple hours. It's like, nope.
No.
It's like a 3-minute clip,
Right.
with a song that I'm not editing. I'm not doing any research. I'm just like making the tempo match the imagery so that it has like a kinetic vibe to it. It still
Right.
is taking tens of hours.
Yeah. A minute is an hour of work if you are lucky.
Yeah. If you're lucky and very good and
Right.
don't have any research to do.
Right. Yeah, that's not even I'm just talking from like a strict like video production standpoint.
Yeah.
The script and the research is just like it's it's insane. It's so much. Like I usually don't touch any of like the I don't touch any of the technical aspects of the videos because that's not really like my area of expertise. So I just like stay away from it and let my people cook. But I did cut a trailer for the Brian Davis Bob Maher video just to like hype it up and also to like give myself some reps and like an editor. And yeah, it was like maybe 45 seconds long and it took me 3 hours.
Yeah.
And all I was doing was like cutting in samples from like Brain Stew over like footage of Brian Davis like making bad plays or whatever. Like, yeah, I think it's still on my Twitter. If you like search my media tab, you'll find it. And I really like that trailer. I'm really proud of it. But yeah, like that 45 seconds just took 3 hours of my life, and it was brutal. It's such a grind.
Yeah. Respect. The moral of the story: respect the media. It's a lot harder to make than you think it is.
Yeah, for sure. Like the reason you like it and the reason it's so unique is because it's fucking hard.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I kind of like about YouTube too, is that it is like a high effort platform. Like you are more or less paid off for putting the time in, which is nice. That's not something you find everywhere, but on YouTube, at least in my like kind of limited experience, that's kind of how it plays out.
So on the flip side of this coin, going from something that is a misconception, what is a kind of favorite non-obvious aspect to, making great video essays and like the annals of like magic history, especially?
So a really solid upside, like the comments on like the videos I've made are overwhelmingly positive. Like I kind of lack the experience that I think most YouTubers have, where like they're just get inundated with like this shit sucks and I hate it, blah blah blah. Like and honestly, I think that like that kind of like unanimously positive feedback just comes from a place where it's like I don't feel like I have much competition, if any at all. Like it's basically me and Ristic Studies is how I look at it. And it's such bullshit because again, Wizards of the Coast could do this shit if they wanted to, and like they actually have like first hand like accounts of all the stuff. And if they really like wanted to, if they like believed in enfranchised players enough, they could do this shit very easily. And there could at least be like more competition for this kind of thing, because like the videos perform well on YouTube. They're like perfect for the algorithm. They're long. They have like all the scripts go in as like captions, so like YouTube can scrape those, and it's just all data for the algorithm from there, which you're kind of incentivized to do. It like jacks up the organic impressions that YouTube serves of your shit, and it's just like, yeah, there's an audience for this shit, and they're like hungry for it, and that's why I think all the feedback I've gotten has been so overwhelmingly positive. Even when I miss something, which I do, like, I think on average maybe like twice a video I'll like get something wrong or like omit something, and even when people are pointing that out, they're nice, which is like such an anomaly for YouTube. It's so crazy.
I think it sounds like that speaks to the magic community, though, that we are somewhere between so starved and thus appreciative, and just so loving of this thing that for most of us is, you know, transformed and transmogrified our life predominantly for the positive, that it's just, especially also just, I think it is the way that you and Ristic Studies produce the content. It's not antagonistic,
right?
It's appreciative. It's very, you know, arms are open for a hug, not fists are balled up ready for a fight,
right?
And so much of it is about showing what you love and appreciating this thing that you enjoy, and you want other people to know about and see it from your vantage point of this net positive. It's not, you know, this guy's an idiot or anything like that, because I'm sure people make those videos on YouTube for magic and get a lot of strife, but it's the fact that you come in wanting to talk about something that you're passionate about, and it's for predominantly positive reasons. You're not enjoying hating on someone,
right?
You know, you're enjoying the story that's being told through the annals of history.
Right, yeah. And yeah, that's a pretty astute observation, because like even there are a couple of videos I made that I can think of where like circling the Eldraine is a good one, where like I am just pointing to this set that was like extremely poorly developed, right? Like there's just no way they tested an Oko Thief of Crowns in play. Like there's no way that card makes it to print if you like just play with it 3 times.
Yeah.
But it went to print anyways. So even then, like, it's less about like, oh god, this shit was really underdeveloped, and more just like, here's how it happened, and here's like the result.
And instead of you're doing the like in your video, basically, instead of you're listening instead of saying, you know, it's like if you're in conversation with somebody new or that you don't know that well or has a very controversial opinion, instead of them starting to talk and you're like, you're fucking wrong, you're a fucking idiot, you're so fucking stupid, it's well, you know, tell me more, why is that? And you're exploring the like, not, I don't want to say the mundanity, that's not quite the right word, you're exploring the potentials of why and looking at it as
maybe the minutia,
positive intention. Yeah, minutia. Well, you're looking at the positive intentions and the possibility as opposed to the problem.
Right. And I think working at TCG Player alongside mostly new players, like that's such an important perspective.
Yeah.
And I'm mostly like writing for them. Like it's for enfranchised players and it's for like lapsed players, but it's also like supposed to be like this entry level thing that is as digestible as I can make it without like compromising what it is I actually want to do. And you can see that in, I think, in Anatomy of Luck, where I like actually take the time to break down what Storm is, where like if I'm only talking to enfranchised or like lapsed players, like why would I even break down Storm? You know what it is, let's just move on. But like because so many of the people in my life that I love are just like are very new to Magic, and like they want to, like they see me get like excited about this shit and playing constantly, and like that draws them to it. So I don't want to alienate them. Like that is super important to me. And that's also something I hadn't really thought of until you like brought it up. So yeah, I appreciate that. That's like, yeah, that's very cool.
Before we move on to the next segment, I just realized this is like what makes yourself Ristic Studies. And another one that I guess that I've luckily had on and big fan of, and very much the same venue, is Walk the Plains.
Oh hell yeah, I love Nate.
Yeah, Nate's the great, man.
Oh yeah, that dude is dope.
Is that you make a product for? It's kind of like you do the Pixar thing, right? Y'all do the Pixar thing of it's for the kids, but the adults are gonna get it.
Yeah.
I've been a competitive player since 2006. I like top aided. The first BTQ I ever played, like, was a local store crusher. Looking back, I wouldn't have seen myself then as that, but I was in my high school days. I was very happy to let anybody know that I hadn't paid like dollars for a card in like 3 years was infinite. All that, all those dumb local player accolades.
Oh, that rules though. Like,
I know it's a badge of honor that I carry to this day. But you're making a product that, while new players, you explain Storm and you go through it with this way of, I know you might know this, but you might not, as opposed to you definitely know this or you definitely don't know this. Yeah. You're not talking down in the audience and you're not leaving behind. The door is open for all. And as somebody who's spiky, I can still show this to a friend. I can still show this to somebody who's never played Magic. And with each three of you guys, and you can enjoy it and kind of get it, or, fully get it if you've played some Magic. But you can feel the passion, the love, and the wonder. And I think that is really what makes you guys great, and why I think you only get positive reactions. It's because you are creating such a positive space that everybody feels welcome and you're not hating on anybody.
I appreciate that.
That being said, what pisses you off, man? What is your preposterous peeve that you've brought with you today?
Oh, God.
There's the positivity, man. Get angry. Let's go.
So it's so funny because, like, yeah, in my day-to-day, I'm such a curmudgeon. But like, also all my pet peeves are like not cute. But one that one of my staff writers pointed out, her name is Emma Partlow. She's like, I would classify her as a grinder, but like not a tournament grinder. Like she's on the like writing grind. Like she's like blazing a path that like no one's really done. Like she writes features for like Dicebreaker and Polygon and shit. And like we just happened to have her full time because I tricked her. But yeah, she pointed out that she was talking, she's from Ipswich in the UK, and she was talking about like a sandwich that she had with butter on it, and I was so repulsed. It still hurts to talk about. Like it just sounds like the most disgusting shit I can imagine. Just a fucking sandwich with butter on it. And that's my pet peeve, is putting butter on a cold sandwich. It just sounds disgusting. It's just so fucking gross. It's so British. And God, sorry, Emma. But yeah, she suggested that because like I like put the question to my wife, like, what is my pet peeve? And she didn't know. And then I asked like a group chat of like fellow Magic players, and they just like did a bunch of bits. So like that was no good. And then I asked like a bunch of like my wife's friends that are like former and present coworkers, and they took that as an opportunity to talk about their pet peeves, even though they know me extremely well. Like they were all at my wedding, but they were just more interested in talking about themselves that night. So, and then I asked my team, because they are privy to my rants on Zoom a lot. And then yeah, Emma came through with the butter on sandwiches. Shit is disgusting, Emma. Fucking gross. God.
But okay, so we know when this. It sounds like we know when this came about and what brought it on. Have you ran into it other than situations involving
No,
your coworker,
only in hypothetical situations, because if it happened like in real life, I think I would freak the fuck out. If I was served a cold sandwich with butter on it, my shit fit would be visible from space.
Shit fit.
I would be so upset. It would be bad.
Oh my gosh. Hold on. I have to write something down that was just hilarious.
Glad I could help.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give you a hypothetical. What, like, or no, not hypothetical, but like a circumstantial thing is like, where does that? So it's fine though with like a grilled cheese where the butter is like
definitely
warm, that's totally fine.
Yeah, okay. If the sandwich is warm, then the butter is melting, and that's fine. But like, yeah, if I have to see that shit, oy. It's maybe like a texture and temperature thing. Like, yeah, I just don't do cold butter. Like, who wants cold butter? Just like eat a fucking stick of butter if that's what you want. You grosso. Sorry, Emma. Man,
like
I gotta give her. I need to give her a heads up. Like, hey, before you listen to this, just like I was really feeling it that night. Like, Ike really built this like safe space where I felt like I could just go off, and I did. But I don't hate you. Is the thing. Okay, you can go listen to it now.
Yeah, it sounds like you shouldn't go to the Midwest where they like eating so.
Oh yeah, actually, the deep fried sticks of butter. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Ugh.
That's a no-go for the old Johnny C.
No, that's like that's self-harm. Whereas like a garbage plate is definitely borderline, but like a deep fried stick of butter is just like that's beyond the threshold easily. Like the line is bright, you know, and it's thin but it's bright, and yeah, that's too much.
Butter should only be consumed when it is no longer in a solid state of matter.
Right. Yes. Yes.
Butter meant to be melted.
Butter, do not eat it. Don't just eat a stick of butter. Maybe it's triggering because like yeah, my mom told me that when I was a kid, she used to find like little teeth marks in the butter. Or like I would lick.
You would do that too?
Yeah.
I have distinct memories of at the age of like 4 or 5 sneaking, not going in there where people are around. I knew it was bad. I was sneaking down 5, 6 in the morning, cutting off a sliver of butter so I wouldn't leave teeth marks, because I knew how to hide my tracks. I was a criminal from birth, and just eating like a wedge of it. And then I remember at the age of, I don't know, like 8 or 9, remembering that memory and being like, nice. Waking up early one morning and going down and trying to run back the good old days and having a similar experience to yours of like, that ain't right. And just being like, and just like having to like throw it away and cough it up like it was bad medicine.
So I remember being like, I think I must have been like 6. And we're visiting my mom's brother in Pennsylvania, my uncle. And this is apparently like the first time I ever did this. I was served eggs and toast. And this is the first time I ever did this. I licked the butter off the toast and asked for more butter. And like my mom was mortified. She's like, what the fuck? He's never done that. I swear to God, he's never ever done that.
I swear I'm a good mother.
Yeah, like I never let this kid do this. This is not an expectation that we built. Like this is not there's no precedent for this. He's never done this before. No, you may not have more butter, you fucking freak. Go in the basement.
All right, and with that delicious nugget, we're going to head to our second ad break. But please don't go anywhere, because when we get back, John is going to enter the lightning round. Hey, you. Yes, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. Have you ever wanted to record audio? Or perhaps fiddle with recorded audio? Maybe even record audio of a fiddle and then fiddle with said audio? Well, now you can with awe.com. da city? With all the run-of-the-mill bells and whistles, you'll be confusing yourself with a tech in no time. But won't that cost lots of money? Because with my snow-blowing habit, I can only afford it. It ain't gonna cost shit. Audacity is free and easy enough to use that even a snow-blowing son of a gun can use it too. And we're back.
I didn't cut. Oh, god damn it. Wow. Fuck. Holy shit. Oh my god.
Continue.
No. I'm good. Take us to our next segment, Ike. And then take me to the hospital.
All right, John, are you ready to enter the lightning round?
The lightning round?
I'm ready. I am more ready than I've ever been for anything, ever. Let's do it.
Okie dokie. Well, let's put however much money I owe in alimony on red. John, is there a price for you to give up your passion forever?
No.
Make the food or do the dishes?
Make the food.
Are soups smoothies?
They're not.
Vests or opera gloves?
Vests.
Did you ever cheat on a test in school?
Absolutely.
Are you out of touch, or is it the children who are wrong?
The children are definitely wrong.
Would you rather have your inner monologue sound like Gilbert Gottfried or Fran Drescher?
Fran Drescher.
Would you rather read the cue cards while wearing the crown or live in a hovel and speak your mind?
Give me the crown.
Do you create your own thoughts or do you just listen to them?
I listen to them.
Take out the garbage or play trash Tetris?
Take out the garbage. The fuck is trash Tetris?
And you balance the stuff on top, and you don't want to be the guy it's like a college dorm room maneuver. It's like, I'm not going to take out the trash that's not full.
Okay, so the ideal... Sorry, I'm pontificating, but the ideal me would take out the trash. The real me plays garbage Tetris.
That's the right answer.
Yeah.
You're having the best day of your life. What happens next? Another amazing thing or something terrible?
An amazing thing.
Pineapple on pizza or fist fight?
Pineapple on pizza.
You come across a stranger just struck by a car. Their dying breath is this. This is very important. Please listen carefully. Tell my wife she's a dirty harlot. Oh! Do you or do you not tell their wife?
I do not tell their wife.
Is professional wrestling cool or lame?
It's lame.
Wow. Courtesy flush or light a match?
Courtesy flush.
Telekinesis or telepathy?
Telekinesis.
Assuming there was no health or global effects to worry about, would you rather it always be dark or always be light?
Always be light.
Could you eat 37 of your favorite food for $5,000 in a 1 hour time limit?
I could not.
Well, I have good news then.
Congratulations, you survived the lightning round.
Bam. Nailed it.
But before we move on to your prize, I, like many listeners at home, would like to now know, what is your favorite food?
It's a cheeseburger. I could not eat 37
37 is a lot.
Yeah. No chance.
Where are we going for cheeseburgers? We make them at home? Is there a place that you love to go get them from?
Oh man, depends on the mood, but like I do enjoy making them. Man, for me nothing really beats like a Five Guys burger.
That's my guy.
But I'm East Coast, you know, like
Nah, dude, Five Guys.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Really? Over In-N-Out.
Fuck In-N-Out.
Okay. I've had In-N-Out one time. It was adequate, you know?
It's fine.
Yeah.
I have a strong opinion just because the amount of love and Kool-Aid drunk on In-N-Out's behalf out here.
Right.
Five Guys doesn't get the love it deserves. The Five Guys aesthetic for me, their bun, the way they wrap it, the way the cheese melts, everything about Five Guys is my jam. It feels like the best picnic I never got to go to.
Yeah, that's a great point. And like I don't know how many of them you've gone in, but there's always like just the the peanuts just like chilling there.
Yeah, just the random peanuts. Like
yeah. It makes it feel like a dive bar a little bit, which is nice.
Yeah. Gives it that right joie de vivre.
Mm-hmm.
What lightning round question would you like to ask me, and in turn be asked of future guests?
Oh my god. So, would you rather be completely made of eyeballs from the neck down, no eyelids, or be a remote-controlled Tonka truck from the neck down, where you have the remote, but you obviously lack the appendages to use it?
It's that last little bit that gets me. I would rather be made of eyeballs from the neck down.
Dude, are you sure? Think about it, because you have no eyelids. So like every step, basically you're just in extreme pain.
Every step I take, every move I make, I'm in extreme pain.
Yes. it's a better version of the Police song.
Glad you got that ref.
Yeah.
Yeah, but being a Tonka truck, while cool, but not being able to control myself is, I think that is too
loved one. Like if you have someone you can trust to give the remote to, then like that's
but then I'm their puppet. It's weird.
Sure.
Because then I'm either at the beck and call of somebody else, which I'm terrified of that idea.
Yeah.
Or I am a burden to somebody else because they constantly have to do something to me or for me to be able to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And while I think that's like a little bit more reasonable and you're gonna be in less pain, the idea of giving up that much self-control just to my core scares me. Probably should just get over it. Like the adult answer is be the Tonka truck. The child
I don't know, man. I think it's
answer
reasonable to
eyeballs.
not want to be a burden on someone. Like So I think you're good. Like
where are you coming down on this though?
Dude, I would be the truck. But just like so this, have you ever watched the show Aqua Teen Hunger Force?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so this like scenario is based on an episode where like Frylock invents a toilet and it's supposed to be like it just doesn't use any water. That's like the thing about the toilet, and he needs someone to test it out. So like he gives Carl a bunch of fiber tablets and like bran muffins and shit, and then like locks him out of his house, and all that Carl can do is like use the toilet that like Frylock has put on his front lawn. So and so Carl shits, flushes the toilet, and his whole body is sucked up except for his head. So first, Frylock attempts to make a body for him out of eyeballs, and every step he takes, he's just like, like it's so fucking funny. And then they put his head on a truck and turn it left. Why are you pressing me in the same wall? It's just so good. I love that fucking show. It's so good.
Oh, that's great. All right, man. As we come to the end here, is there anything you want to plug, shout outs you'd like to give to anybody, places people can find you or your content?
Sure. So if you search TCG Player on YouTube, that's where you can find all the videos that we've been discussing tonight. I'm on Twitter at Feb31st. It's FEB31ST. And infinite.tcgplayer.com. I am content manager for that site. I have a byline there. I believe my most recent article is called "Oh my God, this card is so dumb." It's about. You'll have to read the article. You'll have to go and find out.
No spoilers.
Yeah, none. You're gonna have to find out what card is so dumb. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got as far as things to plug.
Do you have any friends or family members you'd like to nominate to come on this podcast so they too can suffer as you have today?
Yeah. So first recommendation, I have a few. First one is one of my editors. His name is Peter Day, and he is one of my best friends. And he's like just as in the weeds about like nerd shit as I am, but way less visible. And I think that's how he likes it. So I would like to change that because I am totally captivated by Peter, and like he's just the best, and he has like a super valuable perspective. He's super smart. He can be reached at I'm just gonna fuck it. Peter at tcgplayer.com. So if you want, if anyone wants him on their podcast, or if you just want to pitch article ideas, Peter at tcgplayer.com. And then other suggestion. This is a dude I played a lot of Magic with at around like the Ithaca area. His name is David Parg. Mark also knows him. So yeah. So
lines.
And yeah, let me just find his Twitter real quick. GHPAR4 on Twitter. He is a really strong limited player. He's like he's like a pros pro. Pros, you know, they sit around and talk about David Park. So, and I grew up with him, and I used to be better than him at one point, and now I am extremely not, like very very much not. So I would love to hear him like kind of talk about Magic and how he approaches games, because I learned a shitload from him. Like the way him and his brother like apply principles in Magic to like other things in life, like that was a huge thing I observed from him that like unlocked a lot of things for me. So yeah, shout outs to David Park. Dude is great. And I think that's actually all I got. Just Peter and David.
Sweet. Thank you so much. I'll be sure to harass them and cajole them until they relent or block me.
Yep. Please do. Peter can't block your email, so you're good to go there.
Well, thanks, John, for being my guest today. And a special thanks to my editor, Richard Ashford, and my composer, Joshua Gibbons. And thank you. Yes, you listening at home, wherever you found time to appreciate this. Time is the most precious commodity we have, and I appreciate you spending yours with us. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe, like, or just share it with a friend. Every little bit helps. Or if you already have and are out of episodes to listen to, don't worry. We put out a new episode every Monday at midnight on SoundCloud, YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes at Passionate People and Preposterous Peeps Podcast. And a very special thanks are due to our patrons, Sibeliello. If you'd like to join said illustrious ranks and have your name read aloud, just head on over to patreon.com/Passionate People and Preposterous Peeps Podcast. And remember, folks, if flour is power and baking is making, then why aren't chefs the chiefs of this world? Have a good night.